Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. Listen, we had her here before with a group, but I wanted to bring her back one-on-one so she can tell her story, her testimony. I've heard bits and pieces of it, so a lot of things that I'm gonna hear for the first time, I want her to tell her story, tell her, today again, we're talking about I don't look like what I've been through. My homegirl Didi is back in the building.
What's up, everyone? What's going on?
So let's get into this. When you hear that statement, I don't look like what I've been through, what do you hear?
My struggles.
Okay.
My struggles. The struggles that I was in, and then how I overcame and got out. So that touches me in that way.
I think everyone has a testimony, everyone has a story, but I think some people are ashamed. But one thing I like to say on this podcast is revealing is healing.
Absolutely.
You have to reveal it so you can heal it. So what is making you so confident and comfortable to come reveal what you've been through?
You know what? I decided that going into this new year of 2025, it's the situation that happened to me 8 years ago. This is now considered my closure for myself.
Okay.
So, and I fought with it, and I've been fighting with it. I still live it, but I have to let it go in order for me to move forward.
And when you say let go, like what happened 8 years ago? If you don't mind.
No, there's no problem. About 8 years ago, I was living in Orlando, Florida, and I was shot. I was at my in-laws' house with my ex-husband at the time, and there was a situation going on with, still to this day, I'm clueless on why and who and what, and why it happened and who did it. And I was shot in my car. The gun that they shot me with was an assault rifle. It was an AK-47.
Wow.
So my car was shot up 13 times, and I was shot myself too. To this day that I'm here, I still live with the bullet in my back, lodged in my back, bullet in my lower back, close to my spine and down my leg, my right leg. So you wouldn't believe it. I was told I was never going to walk again. I was told that the situation can't be fixed. But here I am today, 8 years later, walking, talking, living. Like I said, the shrapnel and stuff is still in me. I have to live with it, but my body's accepted it, and I'm faithful, and I'm blessed. So.
Wow. So you're saying that you were just sitting in a car and someone just came up and just started shooting up the car?
Yeah, I was actually sitting in the car waiting for my ex-husband to come out of his parents' house, and out of nowhere, someone pulled up to the driveway. It was 3 individuals, one in the back, two in the front, and then they shot the car. I don't know who they were looking for, Q. I to this day, I still can't understand why it happened, but we're talking about Orlando, Florida, gun laws, black neighborhood, black female, white cops, closed chapter,
A recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. So
after, being, I know you came out after you got shot. How did you learn how to just maneuver? You wasn't scared?
Yeah, I was scared because here we are with me now. I have a daughter that's getting ready to graduate high school that was traumatized. I myself was traumatized. My ex-husband at the time was traumatized. There was a lot of blame going back and forth with me because I didn't understand why I got shot, who would do this to me. There was a lot of family friction between him with me and him with his family because it happened at his parents' house. It was a lot that I had to endure and he had to go through too as well. But today is just like a living testimony for me. And like I explained to him, to this day, we're still cordial. I would say.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I left the situation. Florida wasn't for me anymore. I had to pick up and go. It was like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to sit here and be miserable, or am I going to pick up and go and start all over somewhere else? Coming home to New York is not a start all over. It is a start all over, but this is home. This is what I know. So I was able to come back home and get me back together. And that's what it took for me to be able to push forward. And then the support system that I have here, family, friends, you, myself, everybody that's around me that support me and, let me know that everything is going to be all right. I came to New York in fear. I couldn't even drive. After being shot, I went through PTSD. I went through a series of mental things and issues that were going on where I would get in my car, I couldn't drive, Q. I would go to the post office, couldn't stand in there long. Wow. I was in the house all the time. I went from, we're talking about someone that was 180 pounds that went to 109 pounds because I wasn't eating, hair falling out, things that were going on that I couldn't understand, and everybody asked me, like, how did you get out of it? Prayer.
Wow.
Prayer. I'm not sitting here, y'all. I'm not capping. I'm keeping it real. I have no reason to sit here. Prayer.
Wow.
Prayer.
Wow.
Prayer.
Wow. So when going through this experience, you would say that it changed how you moved, how you thought, how you reacted. My question is, did it affect the relationships you had with your family and your marriage?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It affected my marriage because my ex-husband had to be someone that he wasn't ready and he didn't want to be.
Elaborate on that more.
When I say he wasn't ready, I mean as far as us being, we weren't even married when I got shot. We got married after I got shot.
Okay.
He proposed to me afterward, and I didn't understand why he did, but thinking back on it now, I guess he felt, it was just like, Dad, this happened at my parents' house. He doesn't understand why. I don't understand why. I love you. I'm here for you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to do everything that I need to do as a man. This is what he told me. So I'm only going off of what he told me. But after being shot there and still the unknown not knowing, I kind of was like, how do I know, this didn't happen because of you, or this didn't happen because of your family members? It made me feel different. And it changed my marriage. We got married, everybody's like, why did you get married? Circumstances. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest, it was the circumstance. And we got married and we were together for 7 years and married for 2.
Wow.
After 2 years, we got divorced.
Wow.
We were divorced. Like, I just couldn't do it anymore.
I want to define trauma. Trauma is a result of exposure to an incident or a series of events that are emotionally disturbing or life-threatening, with lasting adverse effects on individuals' functioning and mental and physical, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So trauma can affect all around the board, your beliefs, your thoughts, everything. You can become paranoid now. You could have been a very confident person who could extremely be paranoid now because of your trauma. I think the one thing I'm happy to start seeing is that more people that look like us are starting to identify there is trauma. Right. And a lot of people don't talk about trauma enough. So what I'm getting, and I'm starting to see myself, is more people that do look like us are starting to identify there is a thing of as such as trauma. And would you say trauma affected your day-to-day life afterwards?
It absolutely did.
Okay.
I couldn't work. Like I said, I couldn't drive. I thought I was dying. I couldn't be left anywhere by myself. I had anxiety to the 10th power. And then from anxiety, you flip over to depression, because now you're saying, well, I'm only can speak for me. Now I'm crying because I'm like, why am I going through this? And the way that I overcame it, not only praying, I had to psych myself out. I'm telling you, Q, in Florida and New York, we're 2 different states. The medical field is different.
Okay.
If I showed you the bag of medication that the doctors were saying you need to take, Miss Davis, oh, this is going to help you with your anxiety. This is going to help you with your depression. This is going to help you do this. I wouldn't be right here talking to you.
Wow.
I refuse to take it.
Pills.
I refused. I refused. My ex-husband was like, you need to take it. You need to calm down. No. I'm going to push through this. I'm going to get through this. And this is the way that I had to cope for myself. So, real quick story. When I got back to New York from Florida after leaving and getting myself together, I stayed with my grandmother for 4 months. We're talking about, she's now 90.
Okay.
I stayed with her. Okay. Meaning, when I said get it back together, get myself back together, took everything that I had, clothes-wise, and my car, put it in my car, have my car transported back to New York, get on a flight, come back to New York. Everything that I have had acquired and accomplished within the last 25 years in Florida, I left there.
Wow.
Husband, house, furniture, whatever it was, I was gone. I came back to New York with just the clothes on my back and my car at my grandmother's house. Got a job in Queens, and I had to drive.
Wow.
And I said to myself the night before I started, excuse my language, oh shit, how am I going to do this? Because I'm scared. And then I'm in New York. And I got to get on the southern state. How is this possible? How am I going to do this? And I had to use the 1, 2, 3 tactic. Like 1, 2, 3, get in your car. 1, 2, 3, start that bad boy up. 1, 2, 3, get on the parkway and drive. And you have to do it because you have nobody to fall back on. Your grandmother's 90, is 89 at that time. And now you're dealing with your anxieties and your situation. You're going to have to tough it out.
So you had to face your fear.
Whew.
So when you hear that, like,
Jesus.
I've noticed, like the topic today we're talking about is, I don't look like what I've been through. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, people see the end of the story, but they don't understand the totality of the story.
Right.
What would you say outside of that moment of you just conquering the fear? What would you say moving forward? How also did it affect you?
Moving forward, it affected me. Conquering the fear, it took a lot.
Okay.
I'm going to break that down. It took a lot of support. My uncle, at that time I was in a relationship, a friendship, situationship, whatever you want to call it at that time. That
entanglement.
He helped me through some tough times too. And like I said, just kind of like psyching myself out to say, Q, I used to drive and I'm like, oh my God, what if I die? What if I crash the car? Like the negative thoughts, because this was trauma that I was dealing with and didn't know at the time, were really taking a hold of me. And I had to tell myself, well, then guess what? If that happens, they'll find you.
You know what's amazing? I always say to myself that one must break before they break through.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe that as with leveling up, the devil definitely attacks more.
Yes.
And he realizes that your vulnerable spaces is where he's able to enter and ultimately create your mind to be more depressed,
right,
more stress, more aggravation. I've always tell people, like, you want to level up, but you got to be mindful the devil gets more clever.
Yes, he does.
He gets more smarter.
Yes, he does.
So, for instance, we keep saying new levels, new devils. That is a true statement when it comes to moving up in life.
It is.
So when you were trying to move up, you started seeing new devils?
I started seeing new devils. Coming to New York, like I said, the situationship that I was in was a devil. I'm just going to throw that out there. We're going to keep a spade and keep it real. He was a devil. At that time, I thought he was good, but he wasn't.
Yes.
It became toxic and abusive. Not only did it become toxic and abusive.
Physically abusive?
Physically abusive. Now, here we are, me coming out of a traumatic situation, being shot, leaving my husband because of the situation that happened, getting with someone that I thought was my knight in armor, right, and then turn around and it was toxic. It was abusive. So that on top of that made it even worse. You understand what I'm saying? But I still didn't walk around with a chip on my shoulder. You saw me every day.
You come from, your mother and father was married?
My mother and father was never married.
You got a relationship with your father?
I don't have a relationship with my father.
You have a relationship with your mother?
I have a relationship with my mother and have a relationship with my stepfather.
Can I ask you a question? Being that, would you say that your father not there, did it give you a level of some kind of issues?
It did.
So my next question is, being that you didn't see the father that you was supposed to see, did it make you make poor choices in the judgment of men?
It sure did. It did.
And I'm asking why?
Because my mother in the household was the woman and the man.
Wow. Elaborate on that too.
But she was the one that, being married at that time with my stepfather, we're talking about two law officers, a correction officer, my mom, and then a law enforcement officer, my stepfather. So living in that household was already toxic.
Yeah.
Okay, because she was a man, he was a man, but she actually was the mother.
Okay.
When he left and they got divorced, she became very abusive.
To you?
To me.
Okay. Verbally or physically?
Both. I'm the second oldest child. It's my brother. He's older than me, and then it's me, and then 3 under me.
Yes.
So I'm the oldest girl. So she started to take her anger out on me because of her situation and her poor choices. My biological father, I have no relationship with whatsoever. That's their mess that they created before me, and then had me in their mess. I wish him well, because he never got the opportunity to know me, to speak to me, to know anything. No, he's still here.
Okay.
Whatever. And actually, it's crazy because he lives 7 minutes away from me.
Wow.
And I have no relationship with him.
Wow.
Whatever it is that happened between him and my mother at that time, he washed his hands of, and I'm included in that washing. So I leave it alone.
So my question is, when you, now growing up with your mother, and saying she was
Yeah, she
toxic,
was.
My next question is, did you recreate that same level of environment to your daughter?
No.
Okay, I'm listening.
Absolutely not, because I promised myself I was not going to do that to my daughter. My daughter is the only child.
Okay.
She's spoiled rotten. I spoiled her.
In a good way or bad way?
It goes both ways. She's very smart, but at the same time she makes some decisions that I'm like, where are they coming from? But these are how the kids are today. But as far as my mother and myself and myself and my daughter, no, I tried my best to not bring what my mother brought to me to my daughter.
But what is her relationship like with her father?
My daughter's relationship, She does have a relationship with her father.
That's
she
good.
knows her father. She knows her grandparents. She has a relationship. Whether she feels like talking to him, she does. If she doesn't, she doesn't. I don't push the issue. I let that live because she's grown.
What's amazing is, like, when you look at trauma, like my story is, my grandfather didn't raise my dad. My dad didn't raise me. And then I decided to break the cycle to raise my child.
Right.
And I had my son when I was 17. And I took custody of him when he was very young, and I raised him by myself. Sometimes I meet women, they'll say something to me like, Q, I come from a single mother. I said, so do I.
Absolutely.
And I was also a single father for many, many years. So it's like, when you talk like that, I seen both sides of the coin. I know what it is to be a single parent, and I know what it is to come from a single parent. Right. So my question is, like, moving forward, all of this experience with, let's say, bad men, the lack of exposing you to a great father, would you say that affected your decision making? But elaborate on, how did that affect your decision making when it came to, like, choosing people, friends, and relationships?
Well, relationships, it was a lot of poor decision making. I'm gonna be honest with you. Everything was rushed. What it is, and I tell people all the time when I talk to them and talk to women, we have to heal first. And I didn't allow myself to heal. We're talking about being married, getting shot, coming to New York, jumping into another situationship with someone that I thought that, because we had history, was that person, and didn't take time for myself to actually heal. And I think that healing and learning yourself and finding yourself and developing a relationship with God too, it's a must. Because the only way to move forward and find the right person, or I don't even say find, for the right person to come to you.
I agree.
Right. For the right person to come to you is you have to be healed. Am I healed right now today? No, I'm not. I'm still healing. And I can honestly say that, through this healing process and this healing journey that I'm going through, I found who I am. Now it's just for me to put the pieces together, know what my purpose is, which I found, and I'm working on, and then let, things fall into play.
I like that, because sometimes when trying or going through traumas, a lot of us play the victim.
Right.
And what I mean by play the victim is we start looking at the things we've been through, and we look at, not from a stance of, no, you look at why me, rather than say why not me. Because I genuinely believe that if a person could be born with illness, anyone is subject to go through anything.
Absolutely.
So, sometimes I think the stories that we go through is to create us and help us become who we are today. Absolutely. Sometimes, like you say, healing. I think testimony is what saves and preserves and helps people get to better spaces in life. So my question is, what would you say is a major turning point for you moving forward because of the fact that you're accepting what you've been through? It's hangers in the closet.
A major turning point for me is definitely me. With me not knowing, having that relationship with my father, and I'm going back to this, not having a wholesome relationship with my mother, is knowing myself. That's the number one thing for me right now.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Because if I don't know me and I don't love me and I'm not pouring into me, I'm not good for anything else that comes to me. You understand what I'm saying? My daughter's 27. I'm going to be honest with you. Within the last, I want to say, 8 years, we've had a good relationship. Before then, it was kind of like a tug of war situation between her. I'm a single mother. I'm raising a girl. I didn't focus on her. I'm too busy into my career and working, trying to provide for her and not let her lack because her father's not there. But then picking up the slack that her father didn't do.
What, he was never there like that?
He was there up until she was like 3 years old, and we moved to Florida. After that, he's like, "You in Florida? You take care of her."
And how old was he when he came back around?
She was, I want to say, she was like 19.
Wow, that's a big gap. Big gap.
I mean, she spoke to him, sporadically,
but still,
it was never a bond or a relationship.
Because I talk to a lot of women, and sometimes I hear women say things like, I was a single mother for years, but a lot of times the women that say that, they're not single mothers. A lot of them are women that's single.
Right.
And they don't know the difference between a single woman and a woman that's single.
Right. And
but your situation sounded like you was a single mother.
I was a single mother.
Yes.
I never went and put him on child support. I just never had the time. I worked. You know what I mean? I worked. I provided for my daughter. I didn't want the system in my business. Call me crazy if you want. I just never had the time to do it. I said, in the end, with him and her, that's something that he's gonna have to deal with and take up with her.
I agree.
And to be honest with you, today, to this day, that's something that they
still
have a problem with. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's easy for the person that gives the trauma to not see the trauma that they've given.
Absolutely. Right.
The person that's the victim, quote unquote, is the person that always feels the trauma. Like for instance, it's easy if I can go around my dad and my dad would say something like, I'm sorry, and expect you just to get over it.
Right.
But when you look at it as the person that was the recipient, me, quote unquote, was it that dealt with the trauma.
Right.
It's always easier for the person to look at it like, just get over it.
And it's true because I tell my friends and a lot of women too, that are going through the same thing that I went through as far as, raising a child on their own. You need that financial support, yes, but that time is what matters. The father could come in and buy the kid sneakers and boots and toys and do whatever. That stuff is going to be in the closet. That stuff is going to be on the floor somewhere. But when it's time that needs to be needed, that bonding time is definitely needed for a father and the child, boy or girl.
My question is, I don't want to go too far into him, but her father, what was his situation with his father?
Well, her grandfather and her father didn't have a relationship.
I'm seeing a pattern in a lot of situations that people just don't identify. We meet, let's say hypothetically, I meet a woman who had a problem with her mother, and then I date her and then realizes that she has a problem with being a mother because she never learned how to be a mother. And I see a lot of men who have the same issues with being a father because they never learned how to be a father. Right. Me coming from not having a father at 17, it affected me so much because I had to really learn. And I was 17, I was still a child.
Right.
And not only was I a child, I was insecure. Because when you come from poverty, it tends to give you a level of insecurity that you may not identify. Right. And the reason why I can say that is because a lot of people that come from poverty, they tend to overly indulge on material things to make their outside look better than they feel on the inside.
Right, I agree.
And that's what was my situation.
Agree. I totally agree.
Would you say you behaved like that at times?
No, I wouldn't say that because I'm going to be honest with you. Living in a household with two police officers, a correction officer, and
the income was there.
The income was there. We lived in a nice house. We lived in a nice neighborhood. We went to good schools. We had maids that helped my mother during the time when she was working. So no, I didn't grow up in that environment. But what it did was it pushed me to want to go outside because my parents kept me locked in all the time.
So it made you more curious to that life.
Right. So what happened? I became curious. I started running the street and doing things and not coming home. Now my mother and stepfather are divorced, and now she's there by herself. And I'm out. I'm outside. I'm buck wild. And people that know me from school know I was buck wild. But it took me to become pregnant with my daughter to say, what are you doing now? You're 22 years old. This is me at 22. You're 22 years old. You're not working. You're not doing anything with yourself. You're running around in the street. I'm going to be honest. You out here, you're selling drugs. You're doing things that you're not supposed to be doing at 22 years old. What are you going to do?
Wow.
And I had to buckle down and say, listen, I'm about to be a mother.
I gotta lock in.
I got to lock in. And was my daughter's father ready then? Absolutely not. But my mother, my grandmother, you're going to have this baby and you're not ready and he's not ready. I said, this baby is going to make me ready. I'm not doing this because I'm trying to lock her father in. I want my child because I need to be ready. It's time for me to mature up. And that's exactly what happened. After having my daughter, got my apartment, got me a job. September 11th, lost my job, went to Florida by myself and raised my daughter on my own and been doing it ever since.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't just me, I'm thinking about this Cinderella story that we're going to be together forever. And, no, absolutely not. My daughter was a blessing to get me out of the streets, the situations that I was in, and the people that were surrounded around me that I could no longer, they just serve no purpose for me anymore.
So I'm asking you a question. Just say yes or no. Mm-hmm. If I ask you, could you direct me to your house from here? Could you do it?
My house where I currently live?
Yeah, from here to your house.
Yeah.
So my question is, what is the direction when a person is looking for the directions to healing? What does the directions look like? So explain to me the directions for a person that wants to heal. Ooh. How would you describe how to heal?
Well, for me,
yeah, you can, to the best of your ability to explain it.
The best of my ability to explain it is the healing definitely, you have to come to grips with what actually happened.
Okay.
Right? Then you have to forgive the situation, the person, the place, the situation, whatever it is that caused the trauma, right? And then from there, meditation and prayer is definitely a must.
I agree.
You can't heal without forgiveness, and you cannot heal without prayer and meditation. And I was sitting there thinking that I'm gonna heal, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be honest with you. I went to church, I let the pastor push me down and tell me to rebuke everything that was going on with me. But at the end of the day, I had to have my own personal relationship with God and sit down, meditate, forgive, forget, and heal.
So to someone right now, I think it's a very not accepted thing yet. It's starting to get more accepted. Mm-hmm. But to someone, Black people, we don't promote therapy.
Right.
Right. So I think a part of the process of healing, therapy is extremely needed. And what would you say to someone that say, you know what, I might want to seek therapy? Or would you influence someone to go to therapy?
Now, I'm going to be truthful. I did go to therapy.
Okay.
For me, it didn't work. I'm going to be honest with you.
Did you find the wrong therapist, though?
That's what the problem was. I went to 2 therapists, and neither one of them helped me. I'm going to be honest with you. They did more damage to cause me to get angry than they did to, try to help me resolve the issue that I was going through. And I just told myself, I said, I'm not going to do this. I'm paying these people. I'm giving you this money. You're billing up my insurance. Even with me going through my divorce, at the time, my ex-husband wanted to go to marriage counseling. We're sitting in front of a counselor, and the first question I asked him was, were you ever married? He said, no. I said, you can't help us. How can you sit here and help us and tell us things that we need to do as a married couple that's getting ready to be divorced and you've never been married before? Oh, but I went to school for this. That's not enough for me.
I agree with you.
That's not enough for me. So I'm not knocking anyone to seek therapy. By all means, go ahead and do it. But with me, like I said, I just took a different avenue. I took a different route.
Experience.
Right. And then coming to New York, I was able to talk to people like you, talk to people like Karen, talk to people that that I can sit down and felt comfortable talking with, that made sense to me to tell me, no, Dee Dee, you're wrong. Or yes, Dee Dee, you're right. Or they could relate to it. Or no, I can't relate to it, but I feel your pain and I know what you've been through. I feel what you're going through. That's what I needed. I didn't need, well, let's start from, here and what did you do and why did you do that to cause that? I didn't need to hear that at that time. I wanted to hear, listen, I understand. I wanted someone that was understanding to my needs at the time, not someone that was going to break me down and then try to put me back together at that time.
So my question is, I always ask this question. Like one time I was talking to a guy, they said about a therapist, and I listened to them speak, and I said, if the therapist lacks experience, that means the person is only regurgitating information they read through a book. And a lot of times the information that's taught in these books are very generic.
Yes.
But every situation has black, white, and also gray. There will always be a gray area. I think a lot of books are just black and white.
Right.
And the sad part is there's no underline.
There's no underline, right?
There's always an exception to every rule.
Right.
So one time I was talking to a therapist, and she said something based on my experience, and I started laughing. And she said, "What is so funny?" And I said, "I'm hearing you as a therapist." I said, "But I think you're saying what you think you're supposed to say. I don't think you're saying what you really have an experience on saying."
Right.
And she looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I'm able to help more people because I have more experience than you."
Right.
And then she looked at me and said, "I disagree." I said, "You can diagnose based on your expertise."
Right.
I said, "But I can feel and relate to a feeling that I know I've experienced."
Right.
I said, "So that's what makes you not that great of a therapist, because you really don't have the experience."
No hands-on.
And I'm not sitting here throwing shade at therapists, but I'm just saying I think more therapists need to get more experience in life before they can say they're a therapist. It's like a person that just got into a relationship trying to compare their new relationship to you in a 20-year relationship.
Absolutely.
It's not relatable at all.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. And that was my issue with the therapist. I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I couldn't. It was just like, you've never been shot before. You've never been married before. You've never been through trauma before. You're reading this book and it sounds scripted, like the whole situation, the whole session.
No experience.
No experience. Sorry, miss me with it. I just can't. And all it did was cause me to get more angry.
Yeah.
And I had to sit back and I said to myself, like, Demetria, you can't be mad at someone that doesn't have the experience. They're trying to help, but they can't. Yeah. So wish them well, and do something else, or go somewhere else, and that's what I did.
But of course, marinating food and letting it sit overnight, and the marination tends to taste better because you let it go through its process. That's the same thing as life. The people that are more seasoned, they tend to have more experience in the seasoning, so therefore they can always give you more flavor. Absolutely. But my question next for you is, moving forward in your life today, what are you going to do different when we bring in this new year?
It's crazy you said that, because I just left church before coming here. And what I'm going to do different now is continue to work and pour more into me. It's about me now. It's already been about being married, being a mother. I'm always going to be a mother. My daughter's here, but she's grown. About the job, about the career, people pleasing people, getting into relationships that are bullshit, putting myself in the middle of other people's issues. It's about me now. So this new year going forward, I'm pouring my all into me. I wasted so much time.
Did you waste?
I'm sorry?
Did you waste? If you learn, you don't waste.
Well, you know what? Lessons were learned.
Okay.
I correct myself. Lessons were learned through those chapters and those journeys. And today, for me to speak this publicly about my personal life is a come up for me, is really a good look for me, because this is something that I'm going to close out too. Because I've always said this is something that I want to speak about. I want to let people know, that go through trauma, that have gone through anxiety and depression and different things. Even people that have been shot. Like, I'll tell people during that time, I was angry. I'm not even going to lie. Listen, we're talking about me being a female, and I couldn't sit here and talk. What you looking at me for? Why are they looking at me? That's how I got to that point where I was ready to shoot because I was
felt
angry.
That when I first met you. When I first met you, I used to have to tell you, always put your gun away. Put your gun away. Put your gun away. I'm like, I'm not the enemy.
Right.
You know, and I felt the level of trauma from you.
Yeah, I did.
But one thing you'll know about me is I have a high level of patience.
Yes, you do.
I have a lot of patience. So sometimes people look at me like, why do you do what you do? And I'm like, because I come from what they've come from. And I understand that it takes time and patience.
And I reached out to you, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I said, bro, listen, I need somebody to talk to.
Yes, you did.
Didn't remember?
Yes, you did.
I said, I need somebody to talk to. You know, I'm here by myself in New York.
Yes.
This is home,
Yes.
but I'm still here by myself.
Yes.
Like, if anything goes wrong with me right now, there's no fallback on nobody. It's just me. And I told you I saw that in you. Like, okay, this is not only my brother, this is my coach. This is my life coach. This is somebody that I know that I could trust with my information, and is not going to broadcast it through so that's why I got close and attached to you, because I was like, you're someone that I trust at that time.
But it took me years to learn as far as doing a lot of like sitting one-on-ones with people is I had to learn that revealing is actually healing and vulnerability is actually strength. I watched a video of a woman wheeling Louis Vuitton luggage into the project building after getting a BBL. I watched a woman wheel Louis Vuitton luggage into a project building after getting a BBL. Some things we got to realize that we have to start being accountable for our decisions. When I say hopeless, I realize that we would rather fake it and never make it because wealth does not look like what we were taught. Let me say that again for somebody on my live. And if you agree, let me get some tapping of that screen and let me get some damn comments. Wealth does not look like what we was taught. Let me say that one more time. Somebody ain't hearing me. Somebody ain't hearing me. Wealth does not look like what we were taught. I come from a hopeless.
Yes. Yeah, brother. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Yes, brother.
Absolutely.
A lot of people think that being vulnerable is weak, and a lot of people think that they can heal without revealing. And I think that sometimes the mirror that we avoid is the reason why we're not seeing the better version of ourselves. And when you talk to people, a lot of people get so caught up in pretending to be someone they're not.
Right.
They're not becoming who they would like to become because they're so captivated by, as long as I give my best face when I'm in the world, but behind closed doors, that's when you're really in your depression, your anxiety, your stress.
Right.
Those four walls. They talk to you.
Yes, they do. And that mirror.
Yes, they do.
And that mirror.
So we become avoiding of it. We avoid it, right?
Yep.
And I realized that myself, personally, I avoided my trauma. I would say things like, I'm all right, even when I wasn't.
I would do the same thing.
Because that's called a coping mechanism.
Yes, it is.
And you learn how to cope with the problems, because we start saying, you ever met somebody and you say, hey, yo, how you doing? And they say, I'm all right.
I'm all right.
Even when they're not all right?
Or hanging in there.
Because it's a way of coping with the situation, because we've been taught that you're supposed to always have it together even when you don't have it together.
Right. Right.
Same old.
My grandmother used to tell me, even when you don't have $1, you better dress like you got $1 million in your pocket. Don't ever let anyone know that you're struggling. And I always wonder, like, dang, why did she say that? Because people do need to reach out.
Agreed.
People do need to say something.
Agreed.
You have people right now that are going through things, that go to drugs and different things to try to cope with their situation. And at the end of the day, when they wake up the next day, the problem still exists. You have people that are going through a lot, that do a lot, but the problem still exists. And I'm one to say, talk about it, because it took a lot for me to talk about it.
Yeah.
I didn't just open my book and say, here, this is what it is. After being shot, I had to, all right, let me woman up. Whoever shot me, you didn't kill me. So whatever, and if I see you, I'm gonna kill you first. And that wasn't the mentality.
Yeah.
I went like that for years, angry, and I just had to say, listen, at the end of the day, enough is enough. You're still alive.
Like when I sit down with a lot of people and do consulting, one One of the things I've learned is people are angry.
Yes, they are.
They're scorned.
Yes.
They're bitter.
Hurt people hurt people.
They're very ungrateful.
Hurt people hurt people.
I always say the one-eyed man is the king in the land of the blind. And while I say that is because you don't know how bad you have it until you see someone else's situation.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we don't see that. We definitely don't look like what we've been through. And I tell people the story and the chapters that's in your life is meant for you.
Yes.
Things don't always make sense, but in the end, they always make sense. Think about it. You become stronger, right? You said, so I'm stronger, I'm wiser.
Yes,
you know,
better, much better.
Much better.
That's right.
But I think that's the process. Things don't always make sense. And sometimes I think that's where we become, one of my worst things I think I've ever did, and I'm gonna be honest and transparent, is I always question God. I say I believe him, but I always question him.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be vulnerable right now, like I always question him.
It's crazy you said that because I did that in the hospital.
Yeah.
The day I got shot, and I'm sitting in the hospital and I'm saying, why? You know, I'm questioning.
Yes.
And then I'm going through the motions of sitting in the house and can't move. Why? Why would you? Then I started not believing. And then I had to check myself because something came over me and said, oh, well, you could have been dead. You not only that, let me show you what type of bullet hit you. Let me show you what your car looks like. And when I actually saw the car, the pictures of all the bullet holes in the car, 13 of them, and then was able to turn around and the detective said, you got shot with an AK. You see how big that bullet was? That's when I said, oh shit.
Well,
I'm not gonna question. I'm just gonna say thank you because I could have been dead.
You want to hear something crazy? I believe I don't think the devil can take life. But I think the devil can use someone to take life.
Yes.
I don't think the devil can convince you also to take your own life.
Yes. Yes.
But I genuinely believe that God has an expiration date on everybody.
Yes, he does.
And one thing I realize is that things don't always make sense, but in the end it makes sense. You know, sometimes I look at people and I'm like, damn, why? You know, I've lost people along my journey. And people that are actually better than me. But when I hear something crazy, now that I look back, I realize that God had a purpose for me.
Right.
And it took me a while to understand it. Sometimes I go in certain rooms, people might take you as arrogant because you've become confident.
Confident, right.
You know,
right.
you become secure.
Right. Of who
So
you
to
are.
the insecure, I'm a problem.
That's always been with me.
But I see that a lot when you sit with people, like I'm very conscious. To the unconscious, I'm a problem. They say, yo, you think you woke. I'm not woke, I'm wide awoke.
Wide awoke, that's right.
Because
That's
I know
right.
who I am.
That's right. And I
And
tell
also know
people,
my purpose.
You don't know what the next person's been through. And I tell people, oh, who she think, listen, you didn't walk in my shoes, you didn't walk my walk. We all have our own walk, but we all have a purpose here. But you don't know what I've been through.
Agreed.
And that's just it. You know, and I'm not the person that's gonna walk in the building and just start turning my face at everybody. You know, you know me, I'm a very open book. I'm social butterfly. You know, you want to know something, if I know it, I'm gonna give you that information. But I just right now in my life and my journey and in the way that I'm going, I look back and look at everything that I've been through, and then I tell myself, no, damn it, you do deserve the best.
You said
You do deserve the best.
and I have to ask you this. You said something about your mother.
Right.
So my question is, in your healing process, have you forgiven her?
Yes.
And how did you do that?
I had to forgive her.
Elaborate.
She was the first one I had to forgive because her verbal abuse, her physical abuse, her not even being there when I got shot. I asked my mother to help me, you know, with a situation with me having to clean the wound that was shot. She couldn't even do it. Her talking about me, spreading my business to people that it didn't even need to go to, you know, talking about me to my own daughter. I had to forgive her because you know why? I said she didn't know any better.
You know something crazy before you leave that? You said verbal abuse, physical abuse. Verbal and physical abuse leads to mental and emotional
and
abuse.
it did. It did.
It leads to, it's
did.
like verbal and physical plays with your mental
It does.
and it plays with your emotions.
And I was already angry before I got shot because of my mother. You understand? That's why I ran the street the way I did.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So I had to forgive her and I had to understand her upbringing.
But that was your level of coping. So self-sabotaging can be a means of coping. And a lot of people self-sabotage
They
when
do
it means
self,
of,
but it's not
because they think they're hurting someone else.
right.
Like
But
for
it's
instance,
not. It's
me ended up in prison is because I was bitter and scorned of my father.
right.
And I don't want to blame him, but it definitely played a impact on my judgment because I was self-sabotaging because it was a way of coping.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I wanted the whole world to feel my pain.
Right. And that's the same way I was. And I think that if she was different
Yes.
and actions were different towards me, a lot of things would have happened better for me. I probably would have graduated college. You understand? I graduated high school by the hair of my chinny chin chin, you know, things are like that. I'm glad I have my daughter, but just being a woman, showing my daughter certain things that growing up that I didn't have, it probably would have made a better, you know. But then I look at how it is now and I say to myself, but I'm good still. You know, I forgive her. I told her I forgave her.
Yes.
I still love her. She's my mother. Do we talk? No, she still doesn't talk to me. I'm okay with it. I still love her. I forgive her. I move forward. But I just know not to make the mistakes that she's made with my own daughter. So I am the generational curse breaker.
Wow.
For the women in my family. Me.
I'm asking the question now. If I have half a pie and I have half a pie and I put the pie together, what happens?
It's a whole.
It's a whole.
Right.
The mother, the father is half and half
Absolutely.
of the child. And when a child gets both halves, they become whole.
whole.
There are a lot of people, right? If I'm running around with just my mother understanding of life, I mean, I'm broken because I don't understand myself.
Right.
I have to come to the realization of who my father is in order for me to become whole.
Right.
Because again, a lot of kids that don't have fathers or didn't grow with their fathers, they create a vision of their father that might not even be true.
That's right.
And that's what I did. I didn't understand or know why my dad wouldn't want to be in my life.
Right.
So it impacted me to the point where I wanted the world to see my pain. And how did I do that? I'll give you a scenario. One time I said to my mom, I used to fight a lot. And she said to me, why do you fight so much? At 12, 13, 14, 15, you can't explain yourself.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing.
But the one thing I will say in Black culture, verbal abuse is one of the very high misdiagnosed abuses. Verbal abuse. And what I'm saying is there's certain things that she would say that emasculate you. But when I go in the streets, I'm looking for a dude to fight because I'm trying to get back my masculinity.
Right. Right.
And at 16, I couldn't explain that. But now that I'm grown,
you can
I can
explain it now.
and say,
right.
look, I felt emasculated at times.
Right.
So now me going back, but again, when I look back, that was how parents parented.
Yeah.
So I can't blame her for not knowing any better.
That's the same thing with my mom. I couldn't do it. I
can't
couldn't
blame
do it.
him.
And I had to look at the upbringing, you know, my grandmother and my great grandmother. You know, I look at
They
the
talk
root.
crazy.
I went to the root, to
Yes,
the foundation to
yes,
find out,
yes.
oh, this is why you're this way. Because your mother did this and her mother did this to her mother. Okay, I can't be mad at you because you're only doing what you know.
What you only regurgitating what you see.
Absolutely.
But you could have multiple children. This child right here could be physically, you touch them, they can take it personal.
Right.
One of the children, physically, you hit them, they can understand from the whooping. And then one, if you get physical with, they completely rebel against it. So 3 different outcomes from the same, basically, disciplinary inaction.
Right.
Sometimes you look at people and you like, everyone don't still have that same mental fortitude to understand. Right. When you talk to people, they expect everyone to be on the same level, same time, same moment.
And it can't.
But again, what can affect you could make someone else greater.
Right.
Earlier.
Right.
Right. But again, we just have to learn
The balance.
of people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my question is like, moving forward, would you say choosing mates because the lack of father was normal?
No.
Would you say that you you know what I see with a lot of women, and I'm gonna be honest. I've noticed a lot of women think they could fix men.
And that was one of my problems.
I'm listening. Speak on that.
That was one of my problems. Every relationship that I was in or encountered, it came with a broken man that needed to be fixed, whether he didn't have money, he didn't this, that, whatever it was, he was broken. And this is another thing that I'm going into the new year with myself, saying that I'm not fixing people no more. I'm not doing, it's not my responsibility to do that, you know. And these men, I'm not bashing men today. I'm not at all brothers. I'm just being honest with you. Y'all are broken too, you know. 100%. And when you do have someone good by your side and want to help you, you're confused on what you want.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So going forward at 48 years old, I don't have that type of time, Q. I don't have that type of time for him to figure it out. I don't have that type of time for him to be running the street. I don't have that type of time for him to play games. I just don't have that type of time no more. I'm not bashing men. I'm a black woman. I love men. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not looking for nobody to pay my bills. I'm not looking for any. No, what I want is something wholesome. And the only way for me to get that is for me to continue to heal myself. Mm-hmm. And let it come to me. Mm-hmm. I'm not finding it in the club. I'm not finding it in the church. I'm not, wherever the divine sends it, when it's time and divine timing, then it'll come to me. I'll know it. I'll feel it. You understand what I'm saying? And that person will know it, and then they'll feel it too. It won't be rushed. It won't be, you know, I won't have this monster sleeping next to me. It's just too much going on right now. And I'm out here, I'm protecting my energy.
So let me ask you a question. When you look at, you ever been in a car? And I want everybody to take this analogy and understand this. You ever been in a car and use a GPS for directions?
Yes.
When you go the wrong way, what does it do?
Reroute you.
It reroutes you. I genuinely believe that a woman can help reroute a man, but he has to be a man already. What I'm saying is that's what I'm getting at. I think a woman can help. When you go in the wrong way, a woman can reroute a man.
Right.
Meaning she can show him like, nah, go this way. But he has to have principles.
Right.
He has to have morals.
Absolutely.
He has to have work ethic.
Yes.
He has to have foundation.
Right.
He has to have structure.
Right.
He has to have belief.
Absolutely.
He has to have a relationship with his creator.
Exactly.
And lastly, I think that he genuinely has to want to raise his own children. I think that a woman will find a man, well, let me take that back, find a male.
Right.
A male, and think that I can fix him. A man has to men have moral.
They have to want it.
They're morally inclined.
Right.
A woman would never have to tell me to take care of my children.
Right.
A woman would never have to tell me to go to work.
Right.
A woman would never tell me to be responsible. It's just naturally, see, like for instance, I could meet a woman could meet a man, right, or a male. Let's say he's bad with money. Mm-hmm. She can redirect him, but he makes money though.
Right.
He makes money, so she can redirect him.
Right.
Like, whoa, turn around.
Turn around, right. Right.
That's what a woman needs to look for.
Right.
So I tell women, if you are a nurturer, which is a natural gift for a woman, I do believe that you got to make sure the morals, the principles, the integrity is already
it's got to be the right man. It's got to be the right man. I mean, I've been in a situationship, kind of sort of similar type of thing, but at the same time, I'm not going to get too deep in it. You got to want it. The man has got to want it. You can't be confused, straddling the fence, not knowing which direction you're going to go in. If that's the person that is helping you, showing you, pouring into you, and you seeing the results of it, what's the problem? What is the problem?
I think that's why I said a man has to be morally on the incline.
Right.
Because men suffer from ego.
Yeah.
And when it's coming from a woman, sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, when you notice that, and I want you guys to hear this, most of the time when a man fights with a woman a lot, it's because that woman reminds him too much of his mother.
Of his mother, right.
So sometimes it feels like you're coming at me like my mom.
Or a bad relationship.
It could be a bad relationship too.
Or a bad relationship.
But it usually stems from your mother.
Right.
When you look at the lady and she like, oh my God, who you talking to? You're very hyper aggressive. It's because you feel like you're in a situation where you had no control when you were a child.
Right.
And now you're in that situation again. So you're rebelling, even if it's coming from a positive.
Right.
But it's reminding them of a trauma.
My quick thing I want to say really quick is I don't have a problem with a man leading, because, you know, a lot of us women today don't want a man to lead. We want to be the leaders. And I get some women and why they're doing that. But to sum it up real quick, I don't have a problem with the man leading me. That man just has to make the right decisions.
But what does the right decision look like to someone that don't understand what the right decision is?
Then they can't.
It's like putting someone in a truck and telling them to drive across country.
Right.
And they've never drove a truck
And they never
before.
drove a truck or don't have a driver's license.
They're going to act like they know what they're doing because
Right.
the ego is, I know how to drive a truck.
Right. And you're going to have trial and error, but you have to be understanding and balanced when you make that mistake and someone comes to you and says, listen, you made that mistake. This don't do it that
So it's
way.
the approach.
Right. But there's that ego. Don't tell me what to do. That's the fight. That's the
Insecurity.
There you go. I was
That's your
gonna say
question.
that
Someone
word.
said, do you think two traumatized people can heal each other, or will it be a trauma bond?
I can't say, I won't say no and I won't say yes. It's going to take a lot of work. A lot of work. One person it has to be a give and take. It has to be a give and take. And it's got to take a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation. And then, like you said, some counseling. It's going to take that for two people, and it depends if the people want it. The two people have to want it. One can't want it and the other one is just doing it because the other person wants it. It's not going to work.
I agree.
It's not going to work. We both have to sit down and say, this is what we want. We're tired of dealing with this. We're going to heal and pour into each other, but we're going to seek help about it and want it.
My question also is, why do you think so many relationships are failing in today?
A lack of trust and communication.
Lack of trust and communication.
A lack of trust and communication is it. I mean, social media already has us like this all day. I was on the train and going into Manhattan and everybody's heads are down. I'm like, damn, if a bird flew over, excuse my language, shitted, no one would see what happened because everybody's heads are down. The lack of communication and is a must. You have to be able to communicate. That phone, put it down. When you're at the table, there's no, like, parents and kids don't sit at the table anymore.
You know one of the highest currencies in now
I'm being
is, right?
serious. I'm sorry.
You know one of the highest currencies is, right?
The highest currencies?
Yes. What's one of the highest currency?
Light?
Is attention.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
People are addicted to attention.
You're right.
Because it's like, look at me.
Right.
I jump roped.
Right.
Look at me. I
Right.
put on a nice outfit.
Right.
Look
Right.
at me.
Right.
I got my hair
That is
done.
considered
That's
light.
how I say.
Yeah, it is.
I got my hair done.
I got to be in the spotlight.
me.
I got to have that attention.
I think everyone genuinely has this. Not everyone, but a lot of people have this. I want to be a celebrity mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And with social media, it's made a lot of people believe they can be celebrities from their their following. Main character syndrome.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
Chris is 100%
That was a good
right.
one. That was a good one.
And I think
That
a
was
lot of
good
people
one.
suffer from it.
Yeah.
When you look at them, it's like, damn, everyone, you walk, like, you ever been in I own a nightclub. And when you sit there, it's like, these people, they might work at Target, Walgreens, wherever they work at. Regular Joes try to mirror what they see the celebrities do. So I call it Cinderella with the glass slipper for the night.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to look like they have this lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning, they spend all the money and then resent that they got to go back to work.
And make it all over again.
Yes.
It's just crazy.
But I think, like he said earlier, it's insecurity.
It is.
It's insecurity.
It is.
Have you ever suffered from insecurities?
I have.
Give me something.
Relationship. I was insecure after being shot and knowing that I was shot, and I was dealing with the wound and everything and how the situation healed. I'm still kind of insecure about it. Actually, I'm going to get it fixed now that I'm here. Yeah. But yeah, I was insecure about that. Insecure with myself growing up, being a dark-skinned girl, in school, being picked on and things like that. That also was a sign of insecurity that I had to deal with. And, the list goes on. But when I go back to saying healing and knowing who you are, that insecurity, all that's out the door for me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's out the door because for me to be secure with myself, knowing that this situation happened, I'm like, I don't care. Nobody is walking the shoes that I walked in. You understand what I'm saying? I'm walking. I could run. I could jog. I could do things that the doctor said that I couldn't do. So why am I insecure of what happened to me?
I want Kizzy to give me a definition. Imposter syndrome? But keep going.
And that's basically it. With being insecure, you asked me, and that's basically it.
I think insecure. I was insecure because imagine, watch this. Imagine, right? You look at yourself and you see something in yourself, but you're scared to be yourself because you're gonna get caught arrogant. You're gonna get caught cocky. and a goal. And I'm like egotistical.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, like, so you want me to, because I do believe that people
dumb
project.
myself down.
Yes.
No, absolutely
People project.
not. Right.
So they don't feel highly about themselves. So they don't want me to feel highly about myself.
Right.
And I'm starting to see that as a regular occurrence where a person will hate you for knowing who you are. But when a person knows who they are, they begin to start living.
Absolutely.
And I realize that most people aren't living, they're existing because they still don't know who they are.
And that's peeping the people that are surrounded around you too as well. You have to understand too, when you're trying to get there and you're doing the right thing and you have confidence in yourself. The people that are around you that aren't supposed to be, that aren't good, they knock that down too. Yes. I've had friends tell me, that don't look right on you. When I know I look good that day. You understand what I'm saying? I'm like, you just mad because you
projecting. You can't wear it.
Right.
I want you to hear this. The persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or have been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. I genuinely suffered from something called imposter syndrome, to the point where I made it out of certain environments and I've done well. And a lot of times, I remember when even started with media, when I started showing my life, I got worried that people would say negative things. To this day, people will write comments. There was one guy, and my guy Tyler knows, he writes something about my AC. Mm-hmm. My whole house has AC. Mm-hmm. But in the same breath, he wrote something about an AC unit. And a part of me was like, damn, I'm really trying to give you knowledge and trying to help the culture move forward. But the problem is so many people are so ignorant.
Yes.
And they're so in their insecurities.
Yes.
That they want me to feel the same way they feel.
Right.
Because I'm going to tell you something, I'm going to be logical. I knew I was going to be a millionaire before I became a millionaire. Mm-hmm. I knew it. And the reason why I knew it is because I was like, I genuinely believe my twin, everyone calls me 50. I believe I was going to get rich or die trying.
Right.
And another thing in my mind always stated that a rich family I don't come from. Right. But a rich family will come from me.
From you, that's
and
right.
That was always my belief. Once I accepted that I was the one, I had to boost up my confidence because I said, damn, in order for me to change my family's trajectory, right, I got to change my thoughts. I got to change my beliefs. I got to change my actions. I got to build my confidence. But when I was doing this, a lot of people didn't want to receive me.
Right.
But also in the same process, I had to be willing to walk away from the people who didn't see me as who I am.
Right.
Then I got around new people and they received me for who I am.
Right. It's a
and
change
it took
of
me a while
environment.
yes.
Change of environment.
Yes.
And that's crazy you say that because that's what I'm going through right now. I have to change that around, the situation with my family too as well. Like I said, it's breaking the generational curse of the way the women think in my family. Women in my family, they're not married, they haven't been married long, or my grandfathers passed away. And right now with me, I'm going into I'm a real estate agent. So I'm doing the real estate thing and property management. So now with me trying to change the way that I'm thinking.
Yes.
At that time.
Yes.
Change my environment.
Yes.
Change the people around me. I'm already being told, well, that, you can't, things that you used to do, you can't go in that building and do that anymore. I know that. You understand? Or things that you can't wear that in that. But instead of saying, well, what are you going to wear today? Or what are you going to say today? Let me hear. Maybe I could coach. You're already being shot down before you're getting up.
Yes.
You understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? So the moral of the story with me is definitely change of environment. When you change your environment and change the people that you surround yourself around and start surrounding yourself around like-minded people that want to see
Yes.
you go somewhere or are already there, life's good. Life turns in a different direction.
Your negative environment and people you're around can create imposter syndrome. I agree 100%.
I agree.
I'm going to say this. I remember
agree.
at one point, right, when leveling up and moving forward, I'm not a flashy person, as you know that. I love jewelry. I do love jewelry. I believe in Mansa Musa. I don't know those who know Mansa Musa. I believe in Mansa Musa. I believe that I come from royalty. Mm-hmm. And I believe that we come from kings and queens.
And queens, that's right.
I genuinely believe such.
That's right.
So I didn't self-crown myself. My ancestors are kings and queens.
That's right.
So it's only in my DNA to feel like the king that I truly am.
That's right.
So when I look at my sisters, I see the queen that they are. Some of them just haven't gotten or put back on their crowns.
Yeah, that's right. They haven't developed it too. You're right.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
Yeah.
I just said that the other day. I talked to my daughter on the phone and I said, you got to start walking like a queen. You know, you can't, you know, it's just certain things and how you hold yourself and your character that you have to change. You have to change. You have to change. They're telling me to look at the camera. Women, we have to change. We have to change.
I don't want to sound crazy, you know. And one thing about me, I don't care about no one's sexual preference. But if you feminize the men and you masculate the women, you create people that are. A woman is not made to be this hard, laboring being. This is why so many women to me are upset.
Right.
So the man that doesn't understand that biblically it says that the man is supposed to be a provider.
The provider, that's right.
And the woman is the nurturer.
That's right, the nurturer.
And where there's something missing, you will see the insecurities within self.
Right.
Notice that most men or women who overly act like they're more confident in what they are is because they're not really confident.
Right.
So they talk this, I can do anything a man can do, I don't need no man. That is a defense mechanism.
No, you can't.
That's a defense mechanism, though.
No, you can't.
But when a man says that he don't need a woman, or only sees a woman's value as her intimacy,
Right.
then you can clearly see that he is still in his fetus mentality.
Mentality, that's right.
And vice versa for the woman.
That's right.
When a man can't see that a woman adds value to the kingdom that he's building, and the woman understands that a man going after being a provider, she benefits the most from it.
Right.
But when a person can't see that, they're going to continue to want the man, oh, you don't spend time with me. I think a man that's busy building is going to give you the greatest life that you could ever dream about.
Absolutely. 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 Absolutely.
But culturally,
Absolutely.
I think like a lot of us don't look like what we've been through.
No, we don't.
We weathered a lot of storms.
Yes, we have.
But I genuinely believe that our ancestors,
They fight for us.
they fought for us.
They fight for us. They fight for us. They paved the way for
Yes.
us.
Yes.
They've opened doors for us. They've closed doors for us that we don't even understand why
Yes.
they had to be closed, but that was just a lifesaver. You know, that day I got shot, my ancestors was with me because I don't know how I was able to jump out the car.
You know what my favorite activist is?
Who?
Take a wild guess.
Who?
I'm a very strong man.
Okay.
Take a wild guess who you think my favorite activist is.
I have no idea. I can't call
Let me
it.
tell you.
Please.
I come from a single mother of 6. My favorite activist is Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman.
And I want you to hear this. You know what she quoted saying? She said, I freed a lot of slaves. And I would have freed more if they knew that they were slaves. And when you understand that statement, listen to that again.
Deep.
Harriet Tubman said, I freed a lot of slaves. And I would have freed so much more if they knew that they were slaves. A lot of us don't see how we are. I'll give you a story. I had 3 siblings that sat and they paid me to do a consulting.
Right.
3 siblings. All 3 of them said they were broke. Mid-conversation, I started laughing. You know what they said? We didn't pay you to laugh. I said, but you paid me to tell the truth. And right now, this is funny as hell. She said, what do you mean by that? I said, I'm laughing right now because there's 3 siblings
That claiming broke.
that's been pushed out of the same vagina
Right. Claiming
that
broke.
come from the same penis,
Right.
right? At 3 different times.
Right.
And believe they're broke.
Right.
When they don't realize that if we work together,
Right.
We
right.
wouldn't be broke.
We wouldn't be broke. That's right.
you get my logic.
That's right.
So when you look at the fact that structurally, if I could make families work against each other, I can create the toxic environments that control mentalities to only go to certain levels.
What's that book? The Willie
Lynch syndrome.
Yeah.
It is the truth.
And it's the truth.
The letter of
It's
Willie
the
Lynch.
That's the truth.
He taught us how to be slaves.
Yes, they did.
And it's sad because you're sitting back right now and you're seeing it in real time.
And it's so true.
Listen, I've realized that they taught women how to hate men. I genuinely believe that men are inferior to strong women. And I genuinely believe that women think they're equal to men.
And it's crazy because I was that girl.
And
I
we're two
hated
different
them.
people.
I was that girl. I was that girl.
Elaborate on that.
I was that girl. You knew that.
I want to hear you tell
You
the people.
know that.
They don't know that.
You know that.
They
He
don't know
knows
that. I do
Listen,
know.
I was that girl. I hated men. You couldn't tell me
Did
nothing.
you?
I was walking in.
We got into a lot of fights for that.
Herbalife and telling everybody I don't care. I don't need a man and blah 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 blah. And I had to dig deep in myself and say, what are you doing?
You know how
And
much
why are
confidence
you
it took me to
saying
build up?
that?
Well, I'm a confident guy.
But you broke me down.
I had to.
You broke me down.
I want you to elaborate on
You
that.
broke.
I had to. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I had to tell him one time.
He broke
I had
me
to.
down. My brother broke me down
had to.
because I kept saying I don't need a man. And what did you say? Why do you keep saying that?
I said, why do you keep saying that? And she said, because Q, I could pay my bills by myself.
Yes, I
could do
did.
everything by myself.
I was
but
angry.
I said, here's the narrative though. You keep getting boys because you say you don't need a man.
That's right.
And the problem with telling the universe you don't want a man, you're going to continue to get boys.
That's
You
exactly
didn't say
what you
not
said.
one time I don't want a boy.
That's exactly what you
You keep
said.
saying I don't need a man.
That's exactly
because
what
a
he
man
said.
is not going to take you to struggle. A man is going to lead you to a destination where
Absolutely.
you feel more complete, you feel more secure, you feel more protected, and you also feel like he's a provider.
Absolutely.
A man will always give that, but a boy will take away your security. He'll take away that he doesn't have the ability to provide.
That's damn
And the
sure
fact of the
don't.
matter, he might be able to protect,
Right.
but that's all he can do.
That's all he could do. Right.
And that's
Right.
the logic. That's
Right.
what a
And
boy can do.
that's-
But a
that's
boy
crazy.
can protect,
Right.
right? A boy can protect. With the
Right.
right weapons, he can protect. So that's what I keep telling people. Like we keep saying, I don't need a man.
I stopped saying that.
Now you
too.
gotta stop saying
I
that.
did. Remember, I
Yes,
stopped
yes.
saying that, and I just started
I
saying.
called you out on that one.
Yes, you did.
I called
He-
out.
Yes, he did. He called me out on it because it made. I went to work that day. I was on the train. I said, "Damn, Q, right? Why am I saying this?
I don't need a man.
I'm 48 years old. This sounds so immature. You know, like stop saying that." And I did. I really did.
But the Bible says there is life and death in the
Tongue.
tongue.
Yes, it is.
There is life and death
Yes, it is.
in the tongue. When the person speaks life,
That's right.
they breathe more life. When a person speaks death, they breathe more death.
Death. That's right.
And the fact of the matter is that's how the devil will play on your spirit. He knows what you want.
Right.
But if I can tell you don't need what you need,
Then I'm gonna make you believe it.
sometimes we overly focus on what we want, but not what we need. What I need is someone that respects me, right?
Absolutely.
What I need is someone that understands who I am.
That's why I'm patiently waiting.
Yes.
That's
I
why
love
I'm
that.
patiently waiting. I'm
love
not
it.
out there. Oh, I'm looking for a man, and I'm no. Been there, done that. At 48, I'm patient. I'll wait, cause my ship is coming.
Can I ask you a question? And I want you to do this. And I want you to look at that camera when you do it. Let's pretend that camera is the younger you.
Woo!
And I
Jeez.
want you to have at least a minute to 2 minutes conversation with yourself.
With myself.
And I want you to sound like you talking to your younger self right now. I want you to make some promises to yourself that you can do now. Because one of my guys, I love that he said, Kinsey always said that we have something called adult privilege,
Right.
right? But if you don't heal that inner child, the older adult will always be aggressive and angry. I think a lot of us don't heal that inner child.
Right.
So therefore we continue to project how that little person inside of us feel. That little person has been healed. Think about it.
Right.
You won't allow yourself to get hurt anymore.
Right.
But that little child will, because they have no control.
Right.
But today we taking back the control
Right.
of ourselves and our lives.
Right.
But I want you to talk to yourself and tell yourself, talk to yourself.
Younger me, all I could tell myself is it's gonna be all right. I got us now. I understood the process. I understand the process. I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. And I'm no longer gonna let anyone or anything hurt us anymore. So the little me that is in that corner that's like, I still don't trust, I still don't believe, and I still don't want to forgive. We have to move forward.
Yes.
We have to.
Yes.
You know, so I need the older me and talking to the younger me to know that everything's gonna be all right. We're not, we're good. We're good because we've healed, we've forgiven, and we got God, and that's all I could trust right now. That's my trust factor. So just relax and enjoy the ride. It's a new ride, new year. We get into this bag, we get into this business and doing things that, that the divine has here for us. We don't have to hurt anymore. You only are hurting because you're allowing yourself to get hurt. And we don't have to do that anymore. I'm protecting you, me. You're not going to hurt anymore. So let it go. Cry it out. Let it go. Just know that this ride now, this journey we're going on right now is the best to come. That's it.
Everybody in my life right now.
Woo, about to cry.
Let's give it to her.
I'm about to cry.
But I want you to do something with me. I want you to close your eyes. Everybody in the studio, close your eyes. When I say breathe, I want you to go in. And when I say out, I want you to let it out. Everybody in my life right now, do this exercise with me. Breathe in. Now let out your stress. Breathe in. And let out your depression. Breathe in. And let out your fear. Breathe in. Let out your resentment. Breathe in. Let out your second guessing. Breathe in. Forgive yourself. Breathe in. And let out that healing your past traumas. Breathe in. And I want you to forgive everyone that has done anything wrong to you. Let it out. Because I want everybody on my life to understand that everyone is a driving force to their future, their life, and their current situation. But if you accept the situation that you're in, you no longer have the power. Because people don't lose sleep when they've done wrong by you. You're the only one that's losing sleep. And in order for us to forgive ourselves, we have to heal ourselves. A lot of us need to let go of the things that's controlling us from moving forward. Because God cannot order steps that you're not willing to take.
Yes.
And a lot of us need to start taking them steps. Wake up that inner child that's sleeping, that believe they can fly, they can jump, they can run, they can kick, they can punch. They're the fastest kid on the playground. Wake up that child. Believe in yourself again.
Yes.
And understand that everything that you have gone through, and you may not look like what you've been through, but you damn sure look better than what you were yesterday.
Absolutely.
Because with the next coming day, it is a choice. We can choose to soak in our pity, or we can choose to dust ourselves off. And my sister, I tell you today, just dust yourself off.
That's what I'm doing. Dust dirt off the shoulders.
And I'm proud of the fact of your vulnerability today.
Yes.
And the fact that you were able to tell what you've been through.
How long I've been saying I wanted to do this?
For a while.
Yeah.
For a while.
Very long time.
And I want you to say this is not influenced by no alcohol.
No, absolutely.
She's actually fasting. Talk about your fast right now.
I'm fasting. I've been fasting for the last 2-3 days now, and I'm bringing in the new year with this fast so I can get ahead. You know, I'm breaking down the strongholds. You know, I'm not eating, I'm drinking water, not having sex, not doing anything that is of the world right now. So this way, when the new year comes in, I'm starting fresh.
You going to work though?
Yeah, but that's all right. That's all right. I need that money. I need those coins.
Now, I want to say this before you get out of here today. I want you to say something to someone that's sitting there right now. Give them something to leave off on.
Trust in yourself, but heal. A lot of us are so broken out here.
Yes.
We are so broken.
Yes.
Men are broken. Women are broken. Men have mommy, daddy issues. Women have mommy, daddy issues. We all have issues. All issues lead to tissues. Let that shit out. My issues lead to tissues. Let it out. Heal. Move forward from whatever it is that's holding you captive for you to not move forward. We're going in a whole new, I won't even say year, dimension right now.
Yes.
And we need to be able to move forward, especially our people today. We need to be able to move forward.
Yes.
What's not, if it hasn't been working within the last 3 years, do something different. If it hasn't worked last year, the year before that, do something different. I tell everybody to give it 3 years, just like a business. Within the next 3 to 5 years, your business should be doing something. And if it's not, do something different. Find out what you're doing wrong and try something different. Change is always good. Sometimes it's bad, but it's always good.
Yes.
It's what you make it.
Yes.
But we gotta do different now. It's time. We got to do different. Families, you got to do different. Get with your kids. Start talking to your kids. Bring back the tradition of sitting at the table, talking to your kids and finding out what's going on. Things like that. We got to do different. And I say this, I always go back to the elders to forget my information and my confirmation sometimes. You know, I learn from what they did wrong and what they did right and try to incorporate it in what I have going on for me to understand, you know, what I need to do and where I'm going.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So yes, we just need to heal.
Yes.
We need to heal now. It's healing. This is what this new dimension is about. Healing and getting a second chance and moving forward.
You know something crazy? Let me give you a round of applause for that first.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Last episode, I had 2 women here, and we were talking about children and parenting, and I got very vulnerable. And anybody that was on my live last week saw it. I started crying, and I'm only talking about this because I'm a super very strong man.
Yes.
But it took me to understand that my tears don't make me weak.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely.
But again, it takes a man like me to tell a man that it's okay.
That makes you
Somebody
strong.
just wrote on my live right now, y'all got me crying.
Because it's the
on the
truth.
screen.
It's truth.
But I want you to hear this,
This
my
is
brother, my
truth.
sisters, right?
This is truth.
A lot of us,
And I love you all those hearts. I love
Yes.
you all because this is real.
it's real. And I want someone to understand that when going through something, you have to realize that you aren't alone.
Absolutely.
A lot of us are better at pretending that things are a lot better than what they actually are. So when you say that someone don't look like what they've been through, it's because they're hiding what they've been through.
It's a mask.
It is a mask.
A mask.
And I'm tired of playing Halloween myself. I'm ready to be vulnerable and allow the world to see that I'm strong, I'm okay, I'm comfortable, I'm healing, I'm trusting the journey, I'm letting God lead.
That's right.
Because there's one thing to be God-fearing. A lot of us fear our fathers,
Yes.
but are you God-hearing? Hearing is a whole nother thing. When he tells you what he tells you, are you willing to listen?
Stop.
And it took me a long time to realize that I got to start listening
Yes.
because I never listened.
Yes.
I used to not be obedient.
Yes.
When you hear the term obedient, is the willingness to submit.
That's right.
And God, I'm sitting here saying today, I submit. I'm letting you lead. I believe.
Absolutely.
I know who I am.
Ooh, yes.
You're showing me that
Yes.
I am worthy
Yes.
and I'm deserving.
Yes.
I will no longer question you.
That's right.
I will never say, why me? I say, why not me?
Why not me?
Why not me?
And just say thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you.
And I want
Whatever
everybody in
it
my
is,
life to
thank
write
you.
down, right, thank you.
Just
right,
thank you.
them. Thank them.
Thank them.
For your goods, your
Yes.
bads, your
Just
uglies,
thank
because
'em.
it made you
Yes.
who you are today.
Right. Right.
And I want to
Right.
say this before we get out of here today, Didi. There's someone right now fighting themselves right now who's unwilling to show their vulnerability, who's unwilling to show their truth, that I'm going through something. One of the guys that work at my shop, he said this to me, and I want you to hear this good. I've been challenging him. And the sad part is everyone said, leave him alone. And I don't feel complete if I do. I'm not satisfied because I believe in that mentality. I want y'all to hear this. No one gets left behind.
That's right.
We all die together
That's right.
because there is no success when you leave your brothers and sisters. The Bible says, he who says they love God is a liar. Because how can you love what you haven't seen, but hate your
right,
brothers and
brothers and
sisters
sisters.
who you have seen? How? So my brother's fighting, and I'm gonna fight for him because he needs to understand that he's not alone.
Right.
And a lot of us think we're alone, so we hide who we are, and we think that is strength. People, we gotta understand, vulnerability is strength.
It is.
Everyone is going through something.
Yes, they are.
And again, my shoulders is big enough to carry a lot of people. And where my sister is weak, I'll be her strength.
That's right.
And where my brothers are hurting, I'll be their Band-Aid. And I'm comfortable with that.
That's right.
Because God cannot pour into a cup that's full. I got to keep emptying my cup for God to keep pouring into my cup.
Yep.
Before I get into it, I want to say, God, I love you. I thank you. I appreciate you.
Yes.
I value you.
Yes, we do.
And what you've done for my life. I am grateful.
Yes, Lord.
I am grateful.
Yes.
Is everyone
Yes.
going through something?
Yes.
Listen, when I cry, I don't cry because of pain. I cry tears of joy
Yes.
because I know the next chapter that is to come.
Yes.
I want everybody in my life to understand that.
Thank you.
Touch somebody in your family. Text that person that you've hated for years.
Yes, you better get it.
Because hate is only the devil.
Yes.
Hate is the devil.
Get it.
Hate is the devil.
Men
Because
that shit.
positivity cannot
Yes.
cohabitate with negativity. In order to hate, you have to have a negative spirit. You have to.
That's right. That's right.
So whoever you're fighting with today, forgive them.
You have to.
Tell them I understand. I know what you're going through. I'm secure enough to be secure for both of us. So sometimes when you say sorry, it's not because you're wrong. It's because you're right.
You're right.
But you're tough enough to admit that you're willing to be wrong so that person's ego is still intact.
And set free. And set free. When you say, when you're forgiven, you're setting yourself free.
Yes, you are.
Because
Yes,
that's
you
a
are.
cancer. That's a cancer you holding when you hold a grudge.
Yes.
When you are able to say, I forgive,
Yes.
you set yourself
Yes.
free. People are sick because they don't forgive.
You know, I want to say one thing before I get out of here. You know the hardest thing about becoming or anything successful? Let me tell you the truth. It's family.
Family.
You know how many of them look me in my face and tell me I never try to help them? They don't view knowledge as helping.
You ever had them tell you was never going to be anything?
I had it many a times.
Okay.
I had a family member that treated a stranger better than me when I lived at a house.
That's what I was told.
And then now
Never
tells
gonna
me
be
that I'm her
anything.
favorite in the whole family. Because money shows you who people are.
Exactly.
And when a person shows you, you have to believe it. So guys, before we get out of here today, I want you all to know I love you.
Yes.
I value you.
Love you guys.
I appreciate you guys.
Love you guys.
And again, in order to be strong, you got to be vulnerable
That's right.
because it builds your character.
That's right.
Till next time, guys, don't let that go over your head.